Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 69 of Teaching Tales, the podcast totally devoted to sharing stories from the world of education. I am Brent Coley, an elementary principal in beautiful Southern California. It's been a while since our last episode. I want to say end of August, I believe, but we're back, and I'm super excited today because joining me is Ashleigh Burnette. Ashleigh, I'm going to have her give you a little background in a second, but Ashleigh works at my school, and I've been thinking for a while I wanted to have her on as a guest. So, Ashleigh, thank you for sitting down.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I know that you have listened, been a supporter of the podcast, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And so I know about you, Ashleigh, but for anyone listening, give listeners, give my mom and dad, who I know are listening, who is Ashleigh?
Well, I am, like you said, I work here at Alta with you, and I am normally a special education assistant working in our SDC mild mod classrooms, and I'm just now finishing up my student teaching in a third grade general education classroom. So I'm about 2.5 weeks out from being finished with that assignment and having my credential, and I'll be back in the SDC classroom and see where that takes me.
And I understand that our time with you is limited because you are going to get a job in a classroom very soon because you are fantastic, but we will hold on to you as long as we can.
Yeah,
as long as we can.
Bittersweet, for sure.
Well, you do a fantastic job as an instructional aide in your full-time role, and now I know Lori speaks super highly of you, and I was just in there yesterday. You're doing amazing things. So today, every episode, as you know, has a theme. We wanted to talk about, as you mentioned, you're about 2 weeks out from finishing your student teaching, and we were talking a couple of days ago about, I was remembering my student teaching experience and thinking, when I did it, I had to do 2 semesters of student teaching. And I remember after finishing the first semester, thinking to myself, even as somebody in my early 20s, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe how green I was. Yeah. I can't believe how much I didn't know.
Right.
And now how much I do, how much I learned after that first semester. And then I compared that to after finishing the second semester, thinking, oh my gosh, if I thought I was green I didn't know anything. I mean, how much more did I grow? So what have you learned? Which is a very broad question, but what have been your takeaways so far that if somebody was listening and could glean from your experience? Yeah. I know you've jotted down some ideas to share,
yes,
which I love.
You and teacher and me
you are
have
amazing.
Taken notes. Yes.
So what do you think? What do you want to share?
Well, to touch on what you said about being more green, as you're saying that, I'm thinking you're saying I was more green before I started, and I feel like it's fair to say I'm less green day to day and not just, or week to week. Mm-hmm. So as I've reflected back, and as I really started to do when we decided to have this conversation, realizing that I'm learning every day from my mistakes, from my master teachers, from my students, from you, from all the colleagues here. And I hope to keep that sense of reflection, knowing that I hope to never arrive. I need to keep growing, because if I'm not able to grow, how can I expect to provide growth for my students?
We ask that for our kids. That
right.
You're always, I love the phrase, your reach should always exceed your grasp.
Yeah.
That you should, and I think you'll never get, I think if I'm going to say this right, you'll never get there.
Right.
Because as soon as you get there, your there now becomes here. Mm-hmm. And the there changes. For anyone listening, if you follow me there,
yes.
It's like as soon as, you're never going to get there, because as soon as you arrive there, it's now you're here. And your goal changes, or at least it should. And I love what you said there, that you never want to stop reflecting on how can I get better. And I think the goal is just every day be better than you were yesterday.
Right.
So,
and at what point is when you've gotten to best, there's still better, because you're always growing. So that's how I see it.
Well, and I would agree, and I think that most people listening would agree that I believe as soon as you think you're there, it's time to quit.
It's time to quit. Yeah.
You need to leave.
Yes.
Because that means you're done growing, and we wouldn't be satisfied with our students being done growing.
Right.
So why should we accept that for ourselves?
Absolutely.
But
agreed.
But back to you. So
Yes.
what have you learned?
Well,
what a loaded question.
What have I learned? I've learned quite a bit. Again, as I went through and started really reflecting, I thought, well, I don't know that we're going to talk for 3 hours.
It's a 6-part episode.
Right. There's so much to say. So I did try and kind of break it down. But I think one thing that was a huge takeaway for me is to come in with a lens of looking at what I want my students to learn and not what I want to teach. For me, it was, I think I don't know what I'm going to teach until I know what they need to learn. And again, I'm very, it's very philosophical. But for me, I needed to know what they needed to learn. So it became important to start to really look at the standards, look at the curriculum, get to know my students and how they learned. And through that, I was able then to decide, it helped with lesson planning. How can I reach them? What do I need? What's the objective? What's the desired student learning outcome that I'm trying to get from them, or out of them, or for them, really? What do I want them to know after this? And so that helped me to then say, well, like, I know we're talking a lot about bringing technology and Minecraft and all of these things. And it's easy to say, Minecraft, I don't have time. I have all of these units I have to cover. But if I know what they need to learn, I was able then to say, could they learn that through Minecraft? Could they learn that through Legos? Could they learn that through, I don't know, tell me.
Fill in the blank. How do you want to demonstrate what
because
you're learning?
that was kind of the cornerstone of how I look at how I'm teaching now and hope to continue to teach, is what do I want them to get out of this versus what do I want to teach them? Because it's not really about what I want to teach. It's about, or what I need to teach. It's about what am I trying to provide and how can I facilitate that for students?
And everybody's coming to the table in different places.
Right.
And I think your point is, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, this is what I'm teaching today, but what if they're not what if they're not ready for that? Or what if this group of students isn't ready for that? The one size fits all approach doesn't work.
And that was huge, because it did kind of allow me to differentiate in ways that offered an entry point for students who maybe needed a different entry point. And I was able then to offer them, or I still am able to offer them, making rigor kind of accessible for students who otherwise would not be given one entry point. But without knowing what they needed to learn, I'm not able to see different entry points.
Do you have an example of what that might have looked like? I know that's putting you on the spot, but...
Well, I actually have, this isn't about me so much, but something that I heard in a PD that I want to I'll touch on that I thought was brilliant. It helped me to kind of see it. I'm big on analogies, and so that kind of helped me. So I listened to Katie Novak, and she was talking about UDL, and I hope I don't butcher this, but she was talking about if you had a dinner party with 10 to 12 guests.
This is great. I know where you're going. This is so good.
Yes.
This is so good.
So you have all these people coming, and maybe you don't know them all that well, and you serve up a casserole. And some people can't have dairy, or they just don't like, maybe they're a vegan. They don't like cheese. Who knows? Yep. If I serve up a buffet, not everyone can eat. Or I'm sorry, if I serve up a casserole, not everybody can eat. However, if I provide a buffet, everybody has something they can eat. And so kind of flipping that back into the classroom, less casserole, more buffet. So how can I provide something for everyone? So to me, that looks like knowing that, one student may need me to sit down and give them sentence stems or, real world examples. Just yesterday, they were having a hard time with dividing. And so I just said, have you ever played Uno? Who's dealing out the cards? When they do that, one for me, one for you, that's dividing. And they're able to see that. And I know that certain students needed that. and they needed that to get to where, they needed to be. Others didn't need that. So I was able, in looking at what's the end result I'm looking for.
And which is where I think is not always the case, but I know that we've talked about recently in ours, exactly what you just said. Some of our professional development is, what's the learning objective? What do you want them to learn?
Yeah.
You have to start there and backward plan it.
Yeah.
And I love that analogy about the casserole versus the buffet. And we, in one of our administrators meetings recently, were talking about that too. Same analogy came up, and I just love it because we hear differentiation, which is
buzzword.
It's a buzzword in education. It's important. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
but when you think, wow, 25 different students in your classroom right now, to design 25 different lessons it's impossible.
No, yeah,
you're not going to be, because you're going to have 25 different entry points. So rather than attempting to do that, why not design the learning experiences so that they are accessible to all? The buffet.
Yes.
So for example, you mentioned Minecraft.
Yes.
What do you want them to learn? I want them to learn this. So let's say it's a solar system unit or something like. You want them to learn about one of the planets or something like that. Rather than putting them in a box, give them choices. I want to demonstrate my learning by making a video. I want to demonstrate the learning by writing a story. I want to demonstrate it by creating a hip hop dance or a rap or building it in Minecraft. The
possibilities around this, really,
but giving them that option, and now you've given everybody a seat at the table.
Right. And because I know what the desired outcome is, you're able to offer that. And that was something that was huge for me. And just noticing that my master teacher, who's amazing.
Yes, she is. Shout out Lori Poliska.
My gosh, the best. So I'm so fortunate. But, she comes at it from that angle. And so I was able to kind of see that. I'm fortunate that I've had experience in special education, so I do have that idea. I already kind of had the idea of small group meeting individual needs. But again, it's not possible to meet 25 different students' needs. But having options and being, I think, flexible in allowing them to show you how they learned. But always having that outcome in mind was huge for me.
Rather than starting, today we're doing page X of the teacher's manual, and everybody is going to do it exactly this way, because that's just, you're going to lose some of the kids who are struggling. You're going to lose some of the kids who are advanced, who are, because they're going to be bored. They need more, and teaching to the middle, we need to teach more to the margins. So, and again, much more philosophical. What else? What else do we have?
I went into a room with flexible seating, and
which Lori talked about in episode 2. If you want to go back,
let's plug that.
She talks about
episode.
that.
And I didn't really know. I wasn't a complete stranger to flexible seating. I wouldn't say leery, but I just wasn't. I didn't really know what it would look like, and so I was excited to be given the opportunity to be in there, because I know that's something that's, a lot of people are putting that into the classroom now. So I saw the huge advantages of flexible seating. And I think I had kind of a common misconception. I'm thinking there's going to be like 20 chairs rocking in a different way at a different time. And there's kids bouncing on balls, and everyone's writing on a clipboard on a pillow. And I'm pretty structured. So for me, I thought, I don't know.
How is this going to work?
How is this going to work? And what I began to see was that it's not so much flexible seating in that there are no chairs or tables. It's almost more, in our classroom that I'm in now, it's more flexibility in how you provide seating, not necessarily a flexible or pliable seat. And so for us, it was really, for me, it was really neat to see how, when you give students control over that aspect of the environment. I think we're all trying to get these independent thinkers and good problem solvers, but how often are third graders given the opportunity to make choices like that for themselves? And so when given the power or the control, they're not necessarily always going to make the best choices for themselves. And so being able to provide that for them, and there are times where it's not, they don't make good choices, for sure, but allowing them to grow in that way was really, really powerful, or is powerful. And I think, too, it's not something that we couldn't take away. So it kind of works as a classroom management system in and of itself.
Well, universal design for learning, flexible seating, as you were talking there, and I hadn't thought about this till right now, is really UDS. It's universal design for seating.
Right.
You are giving kids options. I really like that. I need to trademark that.
Yes, you should.
but because I think that's more accurate. And what you said, when people hear, you said that you were a little leery. And I've talked with many people, many of our parents think that, flexible seating means they can do whatever they want. And that there's chaos that is reigning. And like you said, 20 rockers rocking in 20 different directions. And there's going to be no structure.
Right.
And what you are learning in being in Lori's classroom is, yes, there's flexible seating. There's universal design for seating. There's more structure.
Yes.
In place. There has to be more structure in place, because if not, it's a free-for-all. And I like your point that it's like, I'm going to give you a choice. You can sit here or here. But if you're not making the best choice, or is that the best choice? And I know that's the question that you ask your students. Is that, where's the best place that you're going to be able to learn right now?
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be on the floor with a pillow and a clipboard.
Yeah.
Other times it's going to need to be at this table with your laptop or with your people. And other times, I was the type of student, I would have wanted my desk.
Yes.
I would have wanted, like, this is great, but can I just have my own personal learning space? The same. And that's the beauty that a lot, I don't think, really understand is, and we've talked about, because we have several teachers on our school who have some flexible seating options, is you have to have that option for the me's, for the Brents who, well, I learn best just having my own spot that I don't have to worry about anyone sitting at.
Right.
So you can't just throw out you still have to, flexible means being flexible for the Brents.
Yes.
So, but it's universal design. You're designing your classroom spatially in a way that will work best for.
Yes. And really, I think you maximize the space. Let's be honest. Classrooms are huge. And some of us have 32 students, and desks in rows or in groups, while that's, it is common and it's not a bad practice in my opinion, but it's just crowded. It can be. Very crowded. And so having, like in Lori's class, I know not everyone's been in there like you and I, but there are tables. It's not, we're not sitting, there's not bean bags everywhere. There are bean bags.
There's high tables, there's low tables, there are bean bags, there's rockers, there are desks.
Yes.
There's a little of there were some couches
and there are times where we say sit at a table.
Yep.
You're going to need to be sitting at a table for this. Yep. Pick a seat that's going to be best for you. So in that assignment, I was, it was a little, I was a little uncertain, but I was able to really see the value.
Awesome.
The huge value in flexible seating. And that's something that I hope then to implement in my own classroom.
Awesome.
Because it's really, really valuable.
Yeah. And whether you have a budget for quote unquote flexible seating, because it's not so much what kind of furniture you have, it's how you use it.
And the teacher allowing flexibility. Am I a flexible teacher and allowing you?
Giving up control.
Yeah,
and as somebody who has talked about it, it's like, I was the teacher who liked structure, who liked, I still do like structure and order, but having to relinquish some of that to let kids and now staff run free and spread their wings and grow there. It's not you said at the top, it's not about you.
It's not about
you, and it's not about me. It needs to be about the kids or the staff and the students. So
Yes. Yeah.
awesome.
I agree.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Let's see. Something that for me, was a really cool lesson. I have been in special education for years now, and so I have a lot of behavior management experience. And so while that did kind of transfer over, it became very clear to me that behavior management is not the same as classroom management. And I think that's a common misconception.
Write that down, people. That's good stuff.
Yeah, trademark that.
Trademark that.
Yeah, it's not the same. And so for me, I thought, no, I got behaviors down. I've done maladaptive behaviors. I got this. I quickly learned it's not even close to the same thing. And I do like structure, but the explicit modeling of procedures, it became very clear how important that was.
Yep.
And Lori is the queen of that, and giving them just enough information and just the right amount of time so that they know what to do with themselves, and providing that structure. It's comfortable for them too. Yeah. And so I was really able to glean a lot from the way she managed her classroom, and gain some skills, which I'm continuing to, again, every day.
You'll continue to refine those.
That didn't work. Oops.
Yeah.
That didn't work. Let's try it. Oh, that worked. So, I mean, that's just part of the process. But that was really, I think I kind of thought, I got that part down, so I won't have to really focus as much on that. And yeah, it's not the same.
It's not.
It's not.
And I'm so glad to hear you say something like that, because I am a firm believer in what you just said, that management, and you say management, it sounds like we're managing, but the structures and procedures that you said, that's not by accident. When I walk into classrooms and things are running smoothly, and the kids are on task, and the transitions are going nice and smoothly, and there's not wasted instructional time between activities, I really try to point out to the teacher and praise him or her to say, I recognize that that's not an accident.
Yeah.
That kids don't do that by themselves.
Right.
They don't, the fact that they got up and they quietly walked to their next station rotation. They weren't going outside. They weren't talking they did it, and they didn't, that's taught.
Right.
Explicitly taught. Especially, you're in third grade right now.
Yeah.
So third graders have to, I used to teach fourth and fifth grade. Fourth and fifth graders have to be taught. For your high schoolers, high schoolers have to be taught. And for anyone who is in perhaps the same position you are right now, you're finishing a credential or you're just new, those structures and procedures, take the time.
Yes.
At the beginning of the year, take more time sometimes than you think you're going to need.
Yes.
The example I will use is when I taught fourth and fifth, I used to do literature circles. If you're not familiar, literature circles, groups of students, each group reading a different book, different leveled books, different reading levels, so that everyone was getting what they needed. So I may have one group reading Mr. Popper's Penguins, which is on a lower level. I may have another group reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Sure.
And there were different activities, jobs we called them, that they would do, from finding rich vocabulary to writing high-level discussion questions. And I would take 2+ weeks to train students, because it was a very independent activity. I needed to know that the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea group could do this by themselves while I was working with the Mr. Popper's Penguins group, because I would rotate. And I learned, unfortunately, the hard way, on the years that I didn't spend as much time, I suffered.
Yeah.
The group suffered. They didn't know exactly what I expected. They didn't have the procedures down. So I learned over the years was, build it on the front end. Put that time in on the front end, because it will pay off on the back end. Because again, and now in a role where I walk into classrooms, you can see when the structures are in place.
Right.
And you can see where, maybe we need a little more work refining this. And it's just, I think sometimes we overestimate or underestimate what kids need in terms of the training.
That's what I was thinking as you were speaking. I think sometimes they gotta have this. They know
they
that.
got
They're
that.
third grade now.
Yeah.
Kinder, they need a lot. But third, no, they've got that. No, they don't.
No.
They don't.
No.
And I need to tell them, because if I don't tell them explicitly not to or what to do, they will. If I didn't tell them not to do it, they're gonna do it.
One of the, and just reminded me, I used to always, when I was teaching, I used to always preface my directions with when I say go.
Yeah.
When I say go.
Yeah.
Because then teaching 5th grade, I would give multi-step directions. All right, boys and girls, when I say go, I want you to take out your math book, take out your journal, and your pencil. No, haven't said go. Mm-hmm. Because the problem is then they'll take out their math book, but they didn't hear me say which page to turn to. Mm-hmm. They didn't hear me say to take out whatever. When I say go, and I would do it all the time to the point that I didn't even realize I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day vividly that I gave a direction, and I'm sitting, and the kids are just sitting staring at me. And I remember guilty now thinking like, guys, what are you waiting for? For you to say go.
Yeah, you never told
You
us.
never said go.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it was so,
right.
And it's like, that was such like, ooh, good.
Right.
I did that procedure so much that they were trained.
Yes.
And you use that word training, they're not seals that you're made to
right.
embark, but we're training them up, and we train our kids in the way that we want them to behave as adults. I had spent the time on the front end, and they were waiting for me to say go, even when I didn't realize I didn't say go. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and as I was, I have observations during my student teaching, and I remember in my first couple, my supervisor would say, you need to provide more pacing information, or you're pacing. And I'm thinking, my pacing's fine. I'm fine. I didn't really realize that he meant providing them information to pace themselves, to give them boundaries, because they're children and they're students, and it's comforting. Yeah. You have about 60 seconds to do this.
You give
or when I say go versus
2 minute
free for all, you do this. Because
2 minute warning.
Yep, exactly. And so I then became quite good at it, because he pointed it out. And so I really thought, you're right. And noticing that is a huge difference, providing them with that. And sometimes it does, you fear, am I being too much like a trainer, or am I being patronizing, or that it's kind of a hard line, but it all kind of boils down. They're looking at you to tell them, what do I need to do? Because they're still children, 5th grade or, kindergarten. That's
well, and
your
it's
job.
it's safe.
It's safe.
It
feels good to know what's expected. Yes.
And I had took in my master's program. I remember taking a class, and we had to write a paper on something. And I remember the professor saying, "Okay, here it is," but she didn't say how long it had to be. And somebody raised their hand and said, "Professor so-and-so, how long does it have to be?" And she wouldn't answer the question. And it was it would be like a psychology experiment.
Yeah.
Like, you wish there was two-way glass and you had people watching this, because the disequilibrium in the room that was created in the room by adults who wanted parameters, but she would not provide.
Yeah.
She wouldn't. And literally, you could see we're looking at each other like, whoa, what do you mean you're not going to tell me how long it has to be? Because we've been brought up, well, it needs to be 3 pages, needs to be 5 pages, needs to be 10 pages. Plus, I could go into the thing. If there's a grade attached to it, you do need to tell me how long it has to be, because I don't want to get marked down.
Right,
but it was interesting that even as adults, it was safe to know what are my exact parameters, and they weren't given, and we flipped.
Yeah.
We couldn't handle it. And I think, and that was for adults.
Well, and it gives you a measurable objective, kind of. It gives you the expectation, and I can meet that if I know it. If I don't know it, if I don't know how long this is supposed to be taking me, or if I didn't tell you we're only going to get through half of that page, So they're,
So they're
we're
not
only
freaked
gonna
out. Oh my gosh,
we're
look at
gonna
this whole page.
We're going to finish the backside tomorrow. Third graders are looking at it like, holy cow, I can't do this. This is too much. I'm giving up. I'm shutting down.
Many 5th, 7th, 8th,
Yes.
9th graders would be looking at a whole thing. I love what you just said,
Yeah.
that if you got a whole thing, hey, boys and girls, cover up the bottom. We're only doing numbers. Take a deep breath. Breathe. I mean, I used to do that a lot with my kids. Guys, breathe. Breathe. Relax. We're not doing that. Don't freak out. I love that pacing. And I love what you said about just... One of the great things about you is you are so reflective. And I think, like you said, I got this down. Like I've got the behavior management down, or the pacing. What do you mean? I've got, but realized, okay, maybe I don't have it, or maybe I could get better in this. And that would be, if anyone's listening out there, it's like, if you're not, I think most who are listening to a podcast here, you're there.
Yeah.
If you're taking time to listen to an educational podcast, you're probably already there.
Yeah.
But it is so important to recognize that, you know what, just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. The example I use is the headlight example. When I do observations and go in and observe teachers, I am seeing it from outside the vehicle.
Yeah.
If you are driving in a car and your headlight is out, inside the car, you don't know your headlight is out. It is not until the police officer pulls you over or somebody says, "Did you know your tail light is out or your headlight is out?" Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize it. I can see things sometimes that your supervisor saw the pacing that you didn't necessarily see. I can see things. Hey, did you know that Billy in the back is he's got a really great drawing collection in his desk. Like, I'm not sure. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. That's because he's not at an angle where you would see him.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here letting you know. So just being open to a different view, a different perspective. And I say that I like the headlight example, but it doesn't even have to be out. It might just be askew.
Right.
The light it may not be directly straight on the road. It's working, but it's just a little...
It needs some fine tuning.
It just needs tweaked a little bit. It's like, wow, it's amazing what you're doing. From what I say, here's a suggestion. Maybe if you tried this, I think you're already at a 9.
Right.
If we tried this, we could get to a 10.
Yes.
I mean, or you're reaching 29 out of your 30 kids. But Billy's still drawing in the back. Maybe if we tried this, maybe we can get Billy on board too. So that's
it's huge.
That is huge. Ashleigh, we could talk for 6 and 7 hours.
I'm telling you, I've gained a lot from this experience.
Well, we have gained again. We still have you for a while.
Yes.
And we want to keep you, but thank you for everything you do. I mean, from your assistant position, special ed assistant position, to I know Lori, if you were here, it'd be a 7-hour thing because she'd just be glowing, gushing your praises, deservedly so. So Ashleigh, you are on Twitter, right?
Yes, just newly on Twitter, thanks to you teaching me the importance of that, and I have gleaned a ton.
Is it amazing? It's amazing.
So good.
There's if you follow the right people like you, there's a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
So where can people find you on Twitter?
On Twitter, I'm Ash_Burnette, and I'm new, so I'm sharing and retweeting and lots of articles and thoughts. I'm a big thinker and reflector, so I'm always digging for more info.
Awesome. And for folks who are already on Twitter and know the value, Ashleigh is somebody you definitely want to follow because she's going places. And I just wanted to be at our place, but
I do too.
Yes. but we'll see. So Ashleigh, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely appreciate you and for you taking the time. And I got something out of this, and I'm sure, I know other people would have got something out of this too. And For everyone listening, thank you for listening. If you haven't already done so, as I say every time, be sure to subscribe. You can find us in iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. We're in Stitcher. And if you're looking for a book to read, I'm going to plug my book here because it's my podcast, right?
You should, and it's amazing.
Well, I didn't pay her to say that, folks.
No.
But my book's called Stories of Edu Influence. This whole podcast, but really the book was born out of this podcast of sharing stories. I share in the book stories from my 20 plus years of experience as a teacher and administrator that illustrate the power that Ashleigh possesses, the power that I possess, the power that our cafeteria workers, our playground aides, anyone who works with kids, you possess life-changing powers. And I wrote the book to share those stories that will hopefully encourage and inspire you and remind you that you do have that power. You do make a difference even when you don't realize it. It's available on Amazon. Just look up Edu Influence. That's EDU Influence, all one word. It's available in Kindle paperback and Audible. If you just want to listen, I recorded the Audible this summer. So once again, everyone, thank you for listening. Ashleigh, thank you for being you.
Thank you.
And until next time, have a good one.